It's right down the hallway. And lights on. Now we're into the shop. Over here on this wall, you probably have a very similar situation, is what we call Zone 1. And these are all the finished ductwork. Everything's already installed. And what we're doing here is we're calling this a real-life scenario where they learn how to do a maintenance, they learn how to do a brand new startup, they learn all the components, they learn about using all the tools that they may be using in their first 2 or 3 years on the job, and learning about safety, all those kinds of things. They have to prove themselves out of this zone before they can move on. When they do, they move on over to here, what we call Zone 2. Zone 2 is working with these trainers. Now these trainers are 2x2. You can see a 2x2 square on the bottom there, and a 2x2 frame right here, and a little teepee that matches them together, and that's about a 2. You just basically just take the metal and move them up to the teepee like that, and it's all in a angle iron right here, so a piece of wood will fit right in there. Here's one that somebody's getting ready to do. Now, in this zone here, they use these trainers, usually 2 guys to this one, 2 guys to this one, 2 guys to this one, and then on the flip side, there's 2 on the other side. So there's 3 trainers right here. I'm engaging 12 students in this little short space of span of area right here. It works perfect. You can see one here where they're getting started. We're using these relays right here as loads. We have similar contactors like you'd find in a machine, fan units. Here's a transformer, here's a disconnect, here's sequencers, and a thermostat. So what they do is they have to come up with a wiring diagram, such as a heat pump. Let's just use that for an example. And when that schematic is approved by the instructor, then they have to build it on this board. And when that's the instructor finds that to be satisfactory, then they move on to the next schematic and drawing. And that's how that works. Now over here you see kind of a bit of a junkyard. That junkyard is just parts and pieces that we're picking up from other contractors and other vendors. And we use those parts and pieces over here on these carts. I also had these carts built. They're 5 feet long by a foot tall with some industrial wheels on them. And they're made out of angle iron so a piece of wood can fit in them. And basically they're rolling platforms. Now these rolling platforms are used to take the junkyard parts and pieces and basically build Frankenstein systems here, but the whole idea behind it is that they can get an idea of what it's like to assemble a system and get it running, and it's more of a real life environment. And when they're all done, we can tear them all down, have a flat piece of flat iron there, and another group can grab it and take off from there. This is a fill area where they start to work and fill in their time. Now, over here is where we do our brazing, and we learn how to braze, and we have an exhaust hood, very important to get rid of the waste smoke and stuff, with a fresh air opening there. And over here is where we're starting to look at our commercial refrigeration section. You can see that the system was built with a walk-in cooler. It has a reach-in, which is not too useful to us, and a couple of ice makers, not really that useful to us either. But in the near future here, what we're going to be doing is across there, we're going to be building 4 mock-up walk-in coolers, a couple of mid-temps, a couple low-temp, and a multiple evaporator system with all of the parts and pieces and controls that go with it. And we're going to use that as our commercial refrigeration lab, and we're going to have that done by October. Then when you come over here, I have on this wall right here parts and pieces that we're going to be removing and completely taking everything off of this wall. I'm going to be building the building automation, the zoning systems, and for Zone 4 that I spoke about in the earlier part of the video. And then before they graduate, we're going to be putting them together with advanced heat pumps and air distribution systems and getting them hooked up with career services. So that's what the shop looks like. Now, after seeing all these things, if you have any more questions, it kind of gives you an idea what we're doing here in Pasco. Don't fail